Everyone, welcome to a new episode of Women of Community Banking podcast. We've got Tracy with us today. Hi, Tracy. How are you doing?
Hello, how are you today?
Good. Happy Tuesday. Almost 100 out here in New York. So,
Same here
trying
in
to
New Hampshire, so warm, toasty day for sure.
so trying to be cool, trying to maintain my cool, I would say. So today's good, interesting, sunny outside for sure. Yeah, one of the good, sunny days, I would say. It's good. But again, Tracy, thank you for joining us today. I really appreciate you spending this time with us. Quick introduction: who Tracy is. Tracy is Senior Vice President of Marketing at St. Mary's Bank. Again, we should not confuse St. Mary's Bank with the bank. St. Mary's Bank is the oldest credit union in the country, a very historic financial institution that paved the path for credit unions in this country. And Tracy is leading the charter of marketing of the credit union. Tracy, again, I don't know if I was able to do, I would say, half justice to your introduction, but if you want to add something, please feel free because I try to summarize or condense your 30 years or 3 decades of experience under 30 seconds, right? So it was not
Yeah,
fair.
no, so from a St. Mary's Bank perspective, yes, we're very proud of our heritage, really excited, and I know we're gonna unpack that a little bit here today. Um, from a personal perspective, as you said, I'll jam pack several decades into a few seconds for you. I actually began my career, believe it or not, thinking that I was going to become an elementary school teacher. So that's how it all began. And through my college years was actually nannying for a family down the street from my parents' house. And that family, their father was an entrepreneur, and he actually ended up winning a very large marketing contract. So he came home super excited one day and said, I won a huge contract. Tell your sister to come watch the kids, and I need you in the office. And I caught the marketing bug from that. So definitely took a hard left turn in my college career there, and spent a lot of time in event production and experiential marketing and really immersing consumers in brands. And then from there, kind of began to evolve and did quite a bit of work on the B2B side, looped
Yep.
back again to B2C, and then landed at St. Mary's Bank probably about 7 months or so ago. So, in a nutshell, that's where I'm at. I've done both on the B2B side as well as the B2C side, and really enjoy working with St. Mary's Bank and making an impact on our community.
Absolutely right. So, Tracy, you beautifully covered some part of your journey, but we want to make a deep dive or double click on your journey. So, Tracy, would you want to talk about your journey? How did you start? What made you firstly move to marketing, right? I mean, what made you a marketer in the first place? Second, what made you move to credit unions because it's relatively newer for you, right? So what made you walk this path?
Yeah, so what why marketing kind of attracted me to begin with is, first of all, it's exciting, right? Every single day is different. You never know what you're gonna get. I loved kind of the excitement of opening consumers' eyes to new possibilities. Whether that was, a new beverage that happened to hit the market, or whether that's a new consumer product good in the grocery store, a new type of credit card, a new banking institution, whatever that is, really kind of learning how to shout from the rooftops about the benefits and how these brands can fit into consumers' lives and help them achieve whatever their goals, whatever their pain points are, in new and different ways. So that's just really exciting for me. And why I kind of moved into the credit union space and specifically St. Mary's Bank is after really being at an organization that was very, very focused on heavy, very quick growth. The organization I was with was owned by private equity, which isn't always a bad thing, but definitely gives a different vibe and different focus to the organization. I was ready to kind of step back and say, okay, how can I just do something that's a little bit more impactful in my community while still being able to work for a very fruitful, profitable organization, so that I can provide what my family with my salary. And how do I marry all of these things together while leveraging my marketing expertise? And that's really where I landed with St. Mary's Bank and Credit Union. It's a really great way to continue on my corporate journey while really still having a really nice impact on the community that I work and live in.
Yep, that's great, right? That's great to hear about your journey. Uh, obviously, this journey has been filled with challenges, right? I mean, we usually talk about challenges a lot. So, what are the challenges that you faced across, Tracy, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, so I think one of the biggest challenges that I continue to face, and this is one that kind of I think probably applies to most careers, quite honestly, not even just the financial institution, but it's that ability to speed up and slow down constantly. um I always kind of joke and say, like, I just need the world to, like, slow down for a hot second. Like, where's the pause button? And if anybody knows where that is, if they could let me know, that would be great. I'm always on the search for it. Pretty sure it doesn't exist though. um but it is that ability to say, hold on a second, we are in high production mode, we are pushing to meet deadlines, we are evolving things as quickly as we possibly can. And that fast is addicting, right? It boosts our adrenaline, and we love it, and it really kind of thrives. But
Yep,
it's so important to say, okay, hold on, we got to slow down. Is what we're doing today still aligned with our overall strategic objective? Is this making sense? Does it is this the most important thing to focus on right now? Do we need to reprioritize? And so that ability to go fast, 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 push it to market, evolve, elevate, continue to pivot as we need to, that fast is so important to be relevant and to keep up in the market. But it
yep.
is equally important to say, hold on and pause. And one of the ways that I've just kind of my own personal tip and trick is I absolutely time block to do that. I have to force myself to say, this is a 3 hour block. I am going to protect that block of time. And that block of time is for me to ladder out
Yep,
and to think big picture.
that's very
It's
important.
just really easy to get just caught up in the day to day and not take that time. So to block that time is really important. And to also be able to say, you know what? This is something that is a not now. And to be okay with walking away from those things, because if you don't
Hmm.
walk away
Hmm.
from those things, the really important things just don't get done.
I think what you talked about that completely dovetails into the next part, right? So obviously, St. Mary's Bank is very traditional, right? It has a huge heritage. Plus, you coming to the credit union a few months back, right? It's not easy to balance. It's not easy to balance uh, the heritage versus the innovation that you're bringing in, right? And you've led marketing for multiple institutions earlier before coming into financial services, right? So how do you maintain that balance and how do you maintain that brand consistency uh, after taking up a new role with an institution that has been around for so long?
Yeah, so it's tricky for sure. You need to take that time, and that think space is vital for that. But I think really for St. Mary's Bank specifically, and for us, it's that balance of the word bank is important to our heritage, to your point, and where we came from and why it's there. But we're also a credit union. And how do we leverage the benefit of that
Yep.
heritage with the importance of being a credit union, while also making sure that we are feeling innovative and exciting and on the edge, and all three of those we constantly are playing that balancing act with. One thing in my relative short time in banking that I've noticed is that there is absolutely this envy of like the big banks trying to be the small credit unions and the smaller credit unions wanting to be the big banks. Like the grass is always greener on the other side of the fence.
Sure.
And one of the things that I think is so important is making sure that you stay true to who you are, identifying who your audiences are,
Yep.
and making sure you understand what's important to them. Once you get those elements in place, it becomes very clear how you need to present that to the world, and how you present yourself to the world. So, um, in full transparency, have we completely cracked the code at St. Mary's Bank on what that is yet? Nope, we haven't. Are we working on it really diligently and putting a huge effort into that? Absolutely. Um, it's a work in progress. It's something that we are focused on this year, and we are making strides to continue to ensure that that balance is done appropriately, and that we are differentiating ourselves, but really kind of connecting with our audiences is in a meaningful way for them.
I think that's a very well thought about answer that you cannot figure out everything in the first 7 months, right? It's
Nope.
a
Yeah.
way bigger, broader heritage that you're taking forward. And I think you're incredibly lucky to have got this opportunity of leading marketing and brand strategy for such a old financial institution, right? It's the
Yeah.
oldest technically. Uh, so what is the biggest marketing opportunity that you see right now? I mean,
Yeah, I
for
think,
St. Mary's.
yeah, for St. Mary's in general, and this again is something that we're working on right now, is
Hmm.
how to really be personal with our audience.
That's very important.
How do we and how do we segment and how do we identify our audience in a way that is meaningful again to them? It's great that we know what we want, but is that important to them? And that we celebrate that in a way, or excuse me, we execute that in a way that is meaningful. So, for credit unions, we need to really lean into loving and engaging with our communities and our members.
Yep.
We need to celebrate the ability that we have to have those personal touches and to make those personal connections. But we need to ensure that those personal things and those community focused things
Yep.
don't mean that we need mean do not mean that we need to be complacent on things like
Yep.
technology and product innovation and all of
Yep.
that. So
I'm
it
sure.
is a little bit of both. And we need to make sure that we're giving those new and different offerings, um, but doing it in our own way. Maybe not the way that the bigger banks are doing it, but we do it in our own way.
Yeah, I mean, that is table stakes, right? I mean, for you, identifying that niche is very important, which is very important for a credit union. Uh, Moving on to the next part, I mean, I love to talk about innovation, data, right? So again, you've got a very traditional way of banking that's happening in the credit union for years, right? Is St. Mary's Bank leveraging data analytics for decisioning, for better decisioning across the life cycle? I mean, because you can use data analytics across the life cycle from acquisition to experience to lending somewhere, followed by servicing. So what is the journey of data right now?
Yeah, so I will say one of the very pleasant surprises that I came across moving into the banking world is the amount and detail of the data that's available. Always thought I had great data until I came into banking. I was like, wow, you guys know a lot about your members, which is amazing. It can get a little overwhelming. It's really important that as much data as you have tools to be able to do some analysis and to be able to take all of that data and put it into meaningful information. But it is really refreshing to see the depth of data that we have access to. Um,
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Hmm.
Yeah, I think what is one thing I have seen that I think is super important as well is because we have so much data, it is really easy and I'll say even tempting sometimes to have an idea and then go into your data and make the data prove out that your idea is true, right? Uh, I guess there's probably somebody in this world that can convince me that our sky is uh, purple with pink polka dots and not blue. Somehow, some way, I'm sure they could do that. But my point is like we've got to let the data lead the story, and we've got to let the data tell that to us, not come up with the idea and then back into force the data into that to tell that story. So, we're doing a lot of that analysis and saying, okay, does this work? Testing something, let it run for a few months. If it doesn't work, all right, change directions, not a
Change it.
problem. It's
Exactly.
that concept of kind of like fail fast, learn and move on.
Yep.
So we're doing a lot of that and continuing to leverage that data. But I think, like I said, let's make sure, and I think it's an important fact to make sure that data is telling the story and we're not forcing the data into the story we want to tell.
Yep, that makes sense. Let's move into your priorities, right? So, mm, what are your maybe top three priorities right now that you have in the first few months, and how are you, I would say, amalgamating it with the broader short to mid-term priorities that you have at the credit union? So, long story short, what are your priorities?
Yeah, so I'm not going to give away all of our secret sauce, but
Ah,
I'll definitely give
not
some
really.
insights.
Not really.
Um, so the first one is kind of this concept of be local but think big. So continuing to evolve our offerings, doing so in a way that's meaningful to our audiences,
Yep.
that's true to who we are, but we need to think big. It's easy to say, um, you know, this is what we've been offered and this worked before, so let's just do it again and a copy
Yep.
and a paste. Our
Yep.
audience is changing every single day.
Yep.
I watch my teenage girls and think about where they were. They just had their birthday this past weekend. I think about where they were 5 years ago versus today. It's night and
Very
day.
different.
And
Exactly.
those are the kinds of folks that we're trying to start to attract, right? So we've
Yep.
got to think big, we've got to think differently, which really leads me to the next priority, which is personas. Um,
Mhm.
we are in the midst of really defining our personas, learning a lot about who they are, what motivates them, what do they care about, what is their financial needs right now.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so the reason for all of that work is we need to get personal. Um, by getting personal and speaking to our audience in ways where they feel heard and understood is how
Yep.
we're going to earn their trust, thus, hopefully, earn their
Yep. Yep.
banking. So that persona focus is a big one as well. And then, as it is with much of the other folks in our industry as well, is attracting those newer generations, and that's where both the think big and new and the personas come together, right? How do we attract these new generations to
Yep.
ensure that we've got stability with our overall membership and
Mhm.
give the overall credit union longevity?
Yep. That's very well understood, right? In the interest of time, I know, we've got a stipulated time. I want to ask one last question that beyond the traditional products, right? So how does marketing support growth for, for St. Mary's?
So, we have an event coming up in July, and it's a grand opening. We have a new branch, which is super exciting for us, but obviously that happens every single day in this country. But the way we're executing that grand opening, I think, is kind of a great example of what we're trying to do here, which is we're doing this grand opening, and the way I keep explaining it is that it's a cross between a neighborhood block party
Yep,
and a financial education trade show. Um, so do people want to come to your bank and be told about, risk factors and don't share your passwords and here's our
yep,
best mortgage rate? Sure, they want to know about that, but they're not going to, come running to our bank to have those interactions. That's not really fun for them on a Saturday afternoon. Um,
sure.
but what is kind of fun is having music there, having an ice cream truck with free treats, having cornhole games, having fun interactions and prize wheels, while also at the same time educating them on what is the newest, most important things to do to protect yourself from fraud. What are some of the fun offerings that we have with our financial services offering? Um, so doing that in a fun and engaging way, inviting the entire community to come and celebrate with us, having entertainment, but having education. And I think that is really kind of indicative of what we're trying to do overall. We need to give our members and our prospects
Absolutely.
core banking functionalities. They need a checking account, they need a savings account. But what are we layering on top of that to really attract them in and bring them to our financial institution?
Yeah, I think because it's very common saying. Yesterday, I was talking to someone, a CEO of a credit union, that members don't come to us and tell us that we need a checking account, right? They don't. Members come to us and tell us that we need uh, I mean, a life advice. We need financial planning. We need a first car. We need a first mortgage. It's our responsibility to make them feel important and to solve their problems, and be a trusted financial advisor. So that's what you're hinting on to. So, Tracy, this was amazing.
Exactly.
I mean, this 22 minutes of podcast today with technically the head of marketing of the oldest credit union in the country. It was just amazing. I was busy taking notes because so rich content came out of it. So it was amazing, Tracy. And again, thank you for your time out today. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate it.